Hello the internets and welcome to my complete REI build video, the second SSR character from the collaboration between Evangelion and NIKKE, which so far has the community divided whether they like this event or not. In this guide we'll talk about the skill recommendations, overload the stat priority, best cube to use on REI, possible team synergies, and if you should pull or not for this character. If you enjoy this type of content, a small reminder that I stream every day here and on Twitch, so feel free to drop by and let's start with the video. REI is a burst 3 unit that uses a machine gun with a pretty standard stats at 300 bullets, 2.5 seconds to reload, and a 5.57% base damage similar to other attackers not including pilgrims and some exceptions like Ludmilla. She is a character that focuses on boosting the damage of all fire-type allies, making her a solid pick for solo raid, union raid, and the newly introduced anomaly interception. There are some questions about her kit that we'll have to wait until the next solo raid to see how useful or not they will be, but we'll talk about those later in the video. And speaking of her kit, let's move into the skill recommendations and where you should invest your resources to make REI a good DPS. Sadly, NIKKE keeps releasing units that you have to invest in all skills in order to make them work properly, which is a pretty smart tactic to deplete our skill books, so well-done spenders will buy those packs in the shop. When it comes to recommended skill levels for REI, you want to go minimum 4-4-7, but you want to take her to 7-7-10 over time. Let me explain why. Skill 1 activates after 100 normal attacks. The damage as a strong element buff should have 100% uptime after the initial ramp up of the machine gun, considering you shoot 60 bullets per second. This assumes two things: you have enough ammunition to run an infinite ammo REI similar to Diesel, Crown or Modernia, and that you're playing at 60 FPS since the fire rate in NIKKE is tied to your frames. That means in co-op this buff is not 100% uptime because it's capped at 30 FPS, since Shift Up knows the majority of players use their phones to play and they can't handle 60 FPS constantly. The second part of the skill, dealing 112% extra damage, is pretty good. It will activate every 1.8-ish seconds, give or take, which is a lot of extra damage in a 3-minute fight. It's also final attack damage, meaning it scales with buffs and overload gear stats. Skill 2 gives extra damage to shields continuously, but it's kinda niche right now. We can assume the next solo raid will make use of this mechanic, but after that we don't know how useful this will be. The second part of the skill activates just by entering burst stage 3, meaning you can use REI the same way we use Modernia, as an off-burst character that continuously provides damage and buffs to the team. It also scales off her own attack, so this skill will scale with dupes, and since she's an attacker unit, this is better than other units that have the same type of buff but are defenders or supporter archetypes. Lastly, her burst creates a shield for all 5 allies, which it isn't that good, but it enables Asuka, since that's her condition, to activate the damage as a strong element on a skill 2. It also increases attack damage by almost 50% at max level, which is the strongest offensive buff we have in the game right now, making this skill the biggest priority while leveling her up. She also deals AoE damage, making REI have some screen wipe capabilities if the combat power difference isn't too big. Alright, Sefhi, stop talking about skills, what about the gear? Well, just like any DPS unit in the game, we keep moving in the direction of elemental damage, so that's your priority. Elemental damage and attack are the most important lines you need to get. You also need at least 2 good lines of max ammunition capacity, or 3 if you can't get high rolls, since we all know how RNG works in this game. The rest of your filler lines can be crit and hit rate as usual, and you can ignore the rest of the stats, even though surely Shift Up will make defense useful one day, right? When it comes to the best cube to use on REI, there is only one answer: Bastion. If you want to run infinite ammo, is the best option for any machine gun unit in the game, and she's no exception to this. The other option would be Resilience if you do not have max ammo capacity lines on your overloaded gear, since she takes 2.5 seconds to reload and that will negatively impact her damage output on all fights. All that said about REI and how to properly build her, what units can be used on the same team? While support units will change depending on the raid or type of content you're doing, the other DPS characters you want should be fire type, since that's what she's boosting. The best options are of course the usual meta picks: Alice, Modernia, and the newly introduced Asuka. Alice should be played manually, if not she will lose way too much damage. If you pair her with Asuka or Modernia, you need burst generation from somewhere else, and if you decide to pair REI and Modernia, you'll also need another burst 3 in the same team, so Babu doesn't need to use her burst. Alternatives that aren't as good will be all the other limited abnormal fire characters, which makes it already a pain for a lot of players that might not have them. The only thing to note about those 3 girls is that if there is no parts on the bosses, A2 becomes a bad option to actually use. Lastly, we have the copium options for players lacking a full Raptoros units. Troni is probably the best option here, since her damage isn't that bad, and she will get buffed by Raid, followed by Nihilister and Kilo. Hopefully Drake gets a treasure soon to actually become usable. When it comes to if you should pull or not for REI, Shift Up will most likely power creep these new units with the second anniversary like they've done with all the previous collaboration characters. But both REI and Asuka are really good fire enables, so I would grab at least one copy if you can. There is no need for MLB unless you're a competitive player or if you really like the Evangelion series, since this is your only chance to actually get copies of the units. When it comes to the overall utility on REI and how good she is as a character, I will place her on tier 1 right now. If it wasn't because she focuses on elemental content and buffing other fire characters, she would be going down to tier 1.5. All in all, this collaboration has been pretty good in terms of the characters and I'm happy with them. I just pray that Shift Up waits some time before power creeping them like they usually do. That said, that's gonna be all for this video. As you can see, I've changed the format, so let me know what you guys think about this style. Thank you to my supporters for making this type of content possible. Love you all, bossos. Good luck with your pool dinner dates. I'll see you in the next one.
役立たずは楽園から追放するのみ。ブランとノワールのショータイムです。天地万物を切るとはこういうことだ。